Jai Sri Mayapur Dham ki. Sri Planetarium ki. Jagannath Baladev Subhadramani ki. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, thank you for inviting us to your Sangha. I was asked to speak about the deities in Mayapur, specifically Lord Nrsimhadeva and Lord Jagannath. But can I tell you a Prabhupada story first? You want to hear a Prabhupada story first? Okay. So I was fortunate enough to be here when Prabhupada first had his first visit here by helicopter. So we were working on his rooms, devotee name Swayambhu, and myself. We were laying the lino in the bathroom, and it's a whole night. We were tired. We didn't do it properly, but Srila Prabhupada arrived, and Shruti Kirti Prabhu, his servant, he said he thought it'd be nice when Srila Prabhupada goes out for his morning walk. It was a cold morning, and it'd be nice if there was a nice blazing fire here, nice English blazing fire when he came back to the room. Now, already Srila Prabhupada was complaining about the smell, because every time Prabhupada would come, we would paint the room. It was like a standard thing. Last minute, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Oh, let's paint the walls. So then there was a smell of paint. So Srila Prabhupada didn't like that. He said many places he goes, you can always smell the fresh paint. So
you just move forward so the door doesn't get down. More people will come. Move forward, forward, forward. Please.
Come. Vegetarian. So then, so yeah, we thought it'd be nice, and it'd be a nice idea. So he asked me, I was a bhakta then. So he said, "You know how to make a fire?" I said, "Sure." So he said, "You can make for Prabhupada's room." So, we got the newspaper, scribble it up, then put some wood, then put some coal, and then put a match, and blazing away. But all the smoke was coming out. It was the damper. It's kind of one you have to hook. You push it up and hook it to hold it up, and the hook was broken. We didn't know what's going on, so we put our hand up there to hold it open. But then the fire was blazing, we were getting burned, and then we didn't know what to do. And then we had to. But by this time the room was full of smoke, and we found an incense tube, a metal incense tube. So we stuck that. That did the trick. But in meanwhile, the whole room was full of smoke, and Prabhupada was on his way back. So then we had to open all the windows to let the smoke out. And then Shruti Kirti told me when he came back, he said, when I explained what happened, so he comes back, he says, the room is freezing cold, the room is smelling of smoke. He said, "You tried to please me, and this is what happens." Hare Krishna. So, that was one of my first encounters with Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki. So the deity of Lord Nrsimhadeva, this was after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, I think it was 1980, I believe he came. So Srila Prabhupada gave us those two prayers to sing after Arti every day. Tava Kava Kamalamavena Namaste NRSIMHA. He said these prayers are to protect the spiritual master and the Sankirtan movement. Anyway, we were attacked by bandits in Mayapur. At those days, we was just a building in the middle of rice fields. It's a little different now. There's tons of dwellings going up all over the place. But that time it was quite remote, and it was some little dangerous, politically dangerous at that time. About 30 bandits came and throwing bombs and shooting guns, and anyway. So then just after that, the the president or the co-director at that time had a dream of Lord Nrsimhadeva, who came very angry in Nrsimhadev. So he thought we should bring a deity there to protect everyone. So he asked one devotee to go to South India, Chennai, Madras at that time, and make the deity. That devotee was Atmatattva Prabhu, if you know him, very learned, beloved good brother. So he made a sketch of the vision that the co-director had, and he took it to a very famous Stapati there, who looked at the picture and he looked through his books. He said, yes, this is a bona fide form of the Lord. This is Nrsimhadev, 8 arms. It's an Ugra category, angry category. And this one is especially angry. This is Stanu Nrsimhadev. Stan means place. It means that when he first appeared from the pillar, he was very angry. Right? He's been tolerating all the attempts of Hiranyakashipu to kill his beloved Prahlad. This is the final, he can't tolerate anymore, so he bursts on the pillar and he's super angry, his legs are bent, and his 2 front hands are like this, he's just ready to pounce on that rascal. So he said, yes, he said, but we don't make this kind of deity, nobody worships this kind of deity. He said, too angry. When you worship the deities, you only ask for something, right? Should ask for something. That's what the deity is for, some reciprocation. Better if it's a spiritual thing, but whatever, something's better than nothing, even if it's material. I think you should move up a little bit because it's little the doorway is being blocked. Tons of room here. So he said, when you worship the deity, you generally you ask for something. So he said, but this deity is not going to reciprocate with anyone. He's only going to reciprocate with one person, right? Hiranyakashipu. So it's like futile worshipping this deity. And he said, nobody worships this deity. Even in the heavenly planets, they don't worship this form. But he said, that's the one that came in a dream. It's the one we need. So he said, okay, I'll ask my guru. If he gives me permission, then I will do it. So he asked the guru. Guru said, who wants to make a deity like this? He said, it's for ISKCON in Navadvip. He said, there was a deity like this. On the way to Bangalore, there was a deity worship like this. It was a very opulent worship. He said, there used to be elephant program every day. He said, but now that place has become a ghost town. Is this what they want, ISKCON want for their campus in Mayapur? Do not do it. It will not be auspicious for you. It will not be auspicious for them. So the devotee then, he went elsewhere looking for other sculptures, but he wasn't satisfied. So he thought, let me try again. He went back to the original one, and surprisingly, he said he agreed, he'd do it. Apparently he had a dream. And then his guru came in the dream and told him to make the deity. And then later he confirmed by letter. So he said, you can go ahead and make. The reasoning was that in the dham, all of the deities in the dham, they take on the same mood as the presiding deity of the dham. So the presiding deity of Navadvip is Lord Gauranga. And his mood is, what is it? Compassion. Mercy, giving, very generous. So he's like that. In that case, then he'll be okay. So he said it'll take 6 months to make the deity. So 4 months later, the devotee goes down. Harbal, how's the deity? What deity? Nrsimhadev. Oh yeah, I haven't started yet. Why not? I didn't find the stone. So he said, look, all around there's hills and mountains, the stones everywhere all around, but you can't get a stone. He said, he looked at me like a professor would look at a dull student, and he said, I'm not making a grinding mortar. He said, I'm making a deity. And for that you need a living stone. Okay, so living stone. They know how to, they tap in certain places, and the sound that produces, they can understand with the living stone. It also has another test, there's some kind of bug that eats across the stone and it'll leave a track. He said, that's another evidence. So eventually he called a devotee, said he found the stone. A couple of months later he goes down, there's a stone in the workshop, but it's just a rectangular. He just made it a rectangular shape. So he asked the workman, why isn't he making the deity? Oh, he's coming every day. He's coming every day. He's looking at it. He's coming and he's going. What they do, he'll come and he'll meditate on the form that he wants. He'll just look at that stone and he'll meditate. And sooner or later, then he'll get that form will appear. You'll see that. Then with the chalk, he'll chalk out and then he'll get his men to do the rough work, and then gradually he'll do the finer work, the finishing work. Anyway, about a year later, it's finished. So devotee was waiting there. They finished the deity. So he thought that Stapati had some social engagement. So he thought, I'll call the devotee, take it deity after the weekend. But that night there was a big thunderstorm. And he got a phone call. Your factory's on fire, it's burning. So by the time he got there, it was not really a building. There's bamboo walls and little gotcha. By the time he got there, the whole place was burnt down, and Nrsimhadev was standing there, smoke coming up all around him. So he called it, "To take your deity away, he's burning the whole place down." So they put him in a truck. They put sand in a truck, laid him in that, covered him up, and then he drove to Mayapur. The drivers, the lorry drivers, they told us it's very unusual. Every state border, usually they'll stop and want some tax, But when they said, "What have you got there?" and we just lifted the thing up, they said, "Okay, go." we never paid any tax. It never happened before. So then it was quite a simple installation of Nrsimhadev, and so since that time there have been no major problems. So then it was when the deity arrived, they had a meeting, and they called the pujaris. There were 3 pujaris. Jananivas is my brother. He's the head pujari there in Mayapur. And myself and another pujari. And then so they said, who's going to worship Nrsimhadev? And nobody wanted to worship him. But everyone had a better excuse than me. So they said, then you'll have to worship him. I said, I'm not going to do it. They said, why not? I said, I'm too scared. You hear another story how I said, yes, I will do it. And it wasn't like that. They said, we know why you're scared. I said, why? Because you don't follow 4 regular principles, you've got good reason to be scared. I said, no, of course I'm following. Okay, if you're following, that's okay. Well, here's the key. There's your service. So after 2 days, it was okay. But the one devotee there, local boy, he was always scared. He said, that deity makes sounds. And he said one day he was just putting the deity to rest at night. I was leaving the deity room. He said, I heard such a sound. Oh, my hairs were standing on end. And I looked around and saw everything was in order, so he went up to close the light and locked the door, paid his obeisances, and asked for any forgiveness, any offences he made. So he goes to go back to his room. At the end of the night, then he's woken up. The bed is rocking. He was on a bunk bed. He was on the top. So he thought it must be the pujari underneath, getting up for the Mongol Arati. Anyway, the bed's moving, and he opens his eyes, and he sees Nrsimhadev sitting under the bed. So he's already afraid of him. Now he's really freaking out. And he tried to get up, and Nrsimhadev put his hands on his shoulders, felt like the weight of the whole universe. And so he was really panicking. And Nrsimhadev said, be calm. He said, it's okay, be calm, be calm. It's okay, be calm. I just come to tell you, when you do my worship in the temple, there's no need to be afraid. You do it with a peaceful state of mind. Okay, that's all, just be peaceful. So and also, when you wake me up, Mangalarti time, don't turn the spotlight directly in my eyes. And then he disappeared, then the devotee jumped up. And he was like a haunted person. We thought he was haunted by a ghost. What happened? He was running up and down what we call the building we were staying at the time. Long building, they call it. It's a very long building. Prabhupada had it built. It just happened to be the longest building in West Bengal. He was running up and down the veranda. What happened? What happened? Anyway, he ran to the temple at that time. It was early morning. Boom! Faded obeisances outside the temple. And he became a little sober. So then he came back. It was just before Mangalarti. So he said, and then everyone was looking at me. I wonder why. Then I looked down. I realized I wasn't wearing a dhoti. But he had marks on his shoulders for a number of years. They're not there now. So that was one of the first things. Then another person claimed to have seen the deity. And he's actually the acharya in one of the Gaudiya mats now. He wasn't then. He told Jananivas that on Nrsimha Chartadasi, he said, I was worshipping Nrsimhadev, I was fasting, staying up all night. In that temple they also have a Nrsimha deity, Gopinath, Gaudiya mat. And he said at the end, I was staying up all night, and he said, and Nrsimhadev appeared in my room. He said, this one, your one, and he's wearing a red dress, and he appeared to be satisfied with me. He appeared to be smiling. So I told my Guru Maharaj, he said, don't tell anyone. Now you go to ISKCON temple and you offer some worship. But I'm telling you anyway. So it was another devotee who claimed he saw them. Then there was another devotee who claimed that Nrsimhadev spoke to her. She used to be here. Bhanurati? Atma Vidya. Yeah? Gokulananda's wife. Atma. Anyway, she was here. She was teaching. So she was teaching. She went to Mayapur. She was teaching in Mayapur. And apparently she's had some problem with her eyes since she was a child, which comes periodically. Then she's out of function for a few weeks. So it came, and so she was praying to Nrsimhadev, Lord, please help me. I can't do my service now. Please show your mercy. She said, then Nrsimhadev spoke to her, and he said, you first get my old eyes back, then I'll fix your eyes. So she thought, I must be hallucinating. And then it came again. So, because we actually changed Nrsimhadev's eyes from the original ones, somebody gave some other light, big stone like that, to half round. They're called tiger light stones. They're brownish and they got gold flecks running through them. It's a natural stone. And I put them on and asked everyone. Nobody really, everyone thought it was okay, but apparently Nrsimhadev didn't like them. And so she was thinking, how do I know about getting your eyes back? So he told her, you go to the pujari, tell him to take these eyes. We actually put them over the old ones. We didn't take the old ones out. And so she went and told him, and she said, believe it or not, but the next, so then we checked her out, that she's a very sober person, not so sentimental. And the next day she came back again, and she said again, last night I was woken up at night time, and that voice came again. Tell the pujaris to put my eyes back. We believed her, and so the next morning we actually took those other eyes off. Exactly that time, then her eye problem left her. So it was a kind of miracle. Usually it stays a long time. and another person who was who lived in the same apartment. I was telling her that story. She said, I'm staying in the same block, same apartment building. She said that night, Nrsimhadeva came, she said there was so much energy in that building, no one was sleeping on. Another incident. One boy, he ran away to Bombay. He wanted to become Bollywood star. He ended up washing glasses in a tea shop, 11 hours a day. But fortunately, that tea shop was right outside our temple in Juhu. Somehow or other, he got time to go in there one day, and the devotees preached to him. And they said, "Why don't you join?" So he said, "Yeah, nothing to lose." So then he joined the temple. They said, "You should actually go to Mayapur. You can join the Bhakti program there because you're Bengali, actually from Bihar." But so then he joined the Bhakti program, and then he integrated into some department there. Meanwhile, his parents, they were frantic. It was his only son, and he didn't tell them. He just left. So one day their relatives came to Mayapur and they saw him. So they told the parents, "We think he's your son. He walks like him. But he had a shaved head. But he walks like him. We think it's him." So they came down to Mayapur, and they're inquiring all everywhere in the office, and they just couldn't find him. No trace. They stayed there whole day, and they couldn't find him. Couldn't see him. Then during the Sunday Aarti in the evening, then the Nrsimhadeva's Aarti was going on, and she was praying to Nrsimhadev. Prabhu, last time I was here, I was also chanting Hare Krishna, but now my only son has left me. I can't take any more pleasure in life. Please, I beg you, if you reunite my son with me again, then I'll also raise my hands and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. As she finished praying, her son came between her and the Nrsimhadev and stopped. So they were very happy. So the parents got initiated and started Namhat Center. It was nice. Okay, another Mataji came to move up. We can't open the door. Can everyone move up? Don't be afraid. The speakers used to say, "It's okay, I'm vegetarian." Come close. More. Mr. Kishore, Hare Krishna. He used to look after me when I was a bhakta here. So, yes, she came, she said, I had a dream of Nrsimhadev, and a long dream, and we were just walking through the fields, and it was just like my father. It was a long dream. We were talking, but she said, "I can't hardly remember anything we talked, what we said, but I do remember one thing. I asked, 'How can we serve you?' And he said, 'You can offer me some mangoes.' So she said, 'Can we get some mango?' It wasn't mango season, but apparently there was. She got somehow or other. We got some. She got some mangoes, and we offered them. So a little while later, sometime, this was the year that His Holiness Govinda Maharaj, he left his body. Govinda Maharaj was our sannyasi guru, very elevated. But he was discussing some very esoteric pastimes of Krishna and his feeling separation. At that time, apparently he had a heart attack. But after that, a little while after that, she came back. She said, "Actually, there was more to the dream than I told you. Nrsimhadev said to me, my Pujari is very dear to me, I'm gonna bring him back. And he said, no, don't do that, we want him here, don't take him. And he said, no, I think I'll bring him back. No, please, he was going. So this is going backwards and forwards for some time. She said, then Nrsimhadev said, okay, I'll take one of the gurus instead. She said, I told my guru, he said, don't tell anyone about this. He said, but now this has happened. All Govinda Maharaj ki, back to Godhead ki. Okay, then I was telling that to somebody else, another devotee from America, Gujarati, living in America. But he said, that's incredible. You know, last night my wife dreamt of Nrsimhadev and mangoes. You see, she was outside yesterday, and she saw on the street, there were a lot of tea shops and things. She saw a jar of mango pickles. So she thought, I get that. I should buy them from Nrsimhadev. And she was considering it's not made by devotees. I mean, ISKCON devotees. And there may be something, really not permissible inside. So then she didn't buy it. He said, but last night Lord Nrsimhadev came in her dream. And he said, where are my mango pickles? So then she went and bought them, offered them the next day. Lots of cures, cancer cures, eye cures. Oh, a boy had one of the local boys. He had a firecracker explode in his face. It was very serious. They took him to the local hospital. They said, we can't do anything. Take him to Calcutta. So they took him there and they had a look. They said, it's pretty nasty. So we'll see what we can do. And they're praying to Nrsimhadev. They asked us to do a special puja for Nrsimhadev, and Javitaka Maharaj just gave them some Nrsimha prasadam for him. We were praying for him down there. So the doctor said, what we suggest we'll do, we'll just clean him up now and do the best we can. Then when he's healed up a bit, after 6 months, then his eye, he's not blind. His eyes, there was fear for that. His whole side of the face was all burnt. We'll and wait for 6 months, then we can go in for plastic surgery. So they took him in the theatre. And after some time, they come out and they call the parents in. They said, look, yes, your son is perfectly good, just a little mark. He said, what happened? I don't know. We just started, it all came off. And they said, we never seen anything like this before. He's Krishna's boy, yeah? He said he's one of the Krishna. He said, you have to thank Krishna for this. We can't explain it. Yeah, and another interesting story. And these devotees were from Taiwan, and mother and daughter. The father wasn't a devotee; he wasn't interested at all. But he was dying. He was dying of cancer. He's in his last days. So they had a picture of the Mayapur Nrsimhadeva, and they were praying to Nrsimhadeva, please. He's not a devotee. He's not interested. Please give him some special mercy. And they were, they had Srila Prabhupada's tape playing, Krishna, Hare Krishna, and he was just going in and out of coma at that time. But sometimes he was in supposedly coma, but his eyes were closed, but they could understand he was hearing the mantra because his hand was hitting the bed and his ring was ding, ding, ding. He was kind of doing that in time. That was the only sign of life, so they could understand that he was hearing the. And then he said, who is this man that came in there with you? He said, no, it's just us two. No, this big tall man with a face like a lion and long fingers. They looked at each other and said, that's Nrsimhadev. He said, Nrsimha, yes. He said, he's not in agreement. It's him. You can't see him? You can't see him? His eyes were closed all the time. But he's there and he's telling me something. He said, this mantra they're chanting, you should also chant that mantra. And now he's gone. He said, no, where is he? He's gone. And he said, what is that mantra? You teach me. So he taught him Maha Mantra. And they began to chant it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And that night he left his body very peacefully. In fact, then they're having a condolence. And in fact, the staff of that nursing home, they came. They said, and that when we burned his body, it's usually black and white, the ashes. But that one was just like jade. The ashes are very extraordinary for some reason. He said, and also, he said that room he left in is a very special atmosphere. We go in there sometimes for some quiet. We don't use that room now. We just go in there. And that mantra he chanted, can you tell us what that mantra was, please? So they also began to chant Hare Krishna. So Krishna takes care of your family also. I mean, he wasn't even devotee. He wasn't interested. He didn't even know anything. So, but by the mercy of his devotees and their prayers for him. Again, another common incident. There was a boy from Delhi. He came to do Bhakti Shastri, and he got smallpox. Smallpox, and it's very contagious. He went to the doctor. He said it's a contagious type. You have to be isolated for 19 days or whatever it is. So he went to the homeopathic doctor. He said the same thing. He went to the Ayurvedic doctor. There was oh my God. So then he's in the temple praying to Nrsimhadev, because it's not a very nice thing. You have these black spots, and it really itches, and you can't take bath. That's one thing. You're not supposed to take bath with that. So he's praying to Nrsimhadev, Prabhu, I come after so long. I've been trying to come and do Bhakti Shastri. My parents won't let me go for 2 years. Finally, they agreed to let me go, and now I come here. And in the middle of the Bhakti Shastri, I won't be able to complete it. Go Purnima's coming. All the big devotees have come. I won't be able to see them, and I'm just suffering. Please help me. Then the Chokidar kicked him. Hey, he shouldn't be in the temple. Take Mahaprasad, go. So he was. So then he took rest, and the next morning he woke up very early. He felt quite good, and he took a shower anyway. And when he took the shower, all those black spots washed off, and he was fine. It doesn't happen, but for smallpox. But that was another miracle. Any others? There are a few, but I can't remember all of them. And we still get letters from people saying things, but he's very good at quite effective. People curing people and cancer and other things. So he got a nickname, Dr. Nrsimhadev. People always come to me, oh, this. I said, I'm not a doctor, You pray to Nrsimhadev. Once there used to flood there sometimes, quite frequently. Now it's better, but there used to be a lot of snakes. The one devotee was telling he was taking darshan and he was the only one in the temple, because there was water up to your waist in the temple. And he was taking darshan in the Nrsimhadev, and he was standing near the metal gates. We have metal gates. So they were little open. He was standing there. Then he heard someone call his name. So then he moved around. As he turned around, then a cobra dropped from the gate. It was on the metal gate and dropped right where he was. He said, no. The thing is, there was no one in the temple. But someone called his name. He moved and boom. Shall I tell you my snake story? One year there was a very big flood. In the year 2000, the water went over Nrsimhadev's head. You ever seen a picture? There's a Nrsimhadev in a flood, there's a hand coming out the water with a flower. It's actually a trick shot. We ducked down. The water was only that deep in the temple. We kind of got on our knees. Put the flower. Yeah. So this time it was just up to the water was just up the top of the altar of Nrsimhadev, and so I would have we do a very simple puja, but I put all the articles on a plate, put that on a wooden table, and that would be like a boat. So I'd push that out there. I had a flashlight in one hand because there's no electricity, of course, and a stick in the other. There's lots of snakes. So then I would at this time I could sit on the. I'd put the table on the altar, and I could sit on that. It was just above the water level. Then I could do the puja like that. So one day there was a little snake in there, about that big, but they're deadly also. It doesn't mean baby snakes. It just depends how much poison they put in. So he was swimming in here and there, and I was trying to concentrate on the puja. But and then he disappeared. So before I could see him, now I couldn't see him. So I was a little nervous. Then I looked down, and he was curled up on the seat. It was only that much. The seat was only this big, It said about 3 inches, and he was curled up there. So that was the quickest puja I ever did in my life. Then I just edged off the seat and floated him away with the seat. But there used to be one big snake come in almost every day. He would come in and he would do the prikram around the Nrsimhadev, the other way, not the way we do, the other way, opposite way. He'd go from right to left, and then he would go out. And one day he came late. I'd already finished the puja, and I was offering the arti. Hello, is it loud? Can you hear me? Yes. Not very well. Yes or no? Yes. Can you get any more volume on here, or is it dying? Haribol, 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 Haribol. Is that better? So this day, I would finish the puja, I was offering the arti, and then he came. And then he came around the altar, and then he came to me, and then he stopped. Because he couldn't get past. It's very narrow. The wall is here, and the altar is here, and I'm standing blocking his path. So he's looking like that, about 4 feet away from me, checking me out. And oh my God! And then I looked down, all my hairs were standing on end. It was on ecstasy. So I was thinking, what am I going to do? I mean, you can't run in water, and my stick's on the other side, and I felt really helpless. I felt really, really scared. Then I looked up and I saw, hey, Nrsimhadev's here. We're supposed to be always dependent on Krishna, right? He's right in front of me, and I'm not even seeing him. Just trying to think of how am I going to protect myself. So that was quite a lesson for me. Then I was praying to Nrsimhadev, Prabhu, you're in everyone's heart. You're in my heart. You're the super soul. You're in the snake's heart. If you want to bite me, he'll bite me. If you don't want him to bite me, he won't bite me. Right? Please. Then the snake, boom, he dunked under the water. Oh my God! And it was all, you couldn't see it. It was all muddy, Just waiting for somebody to wrap around my leg, and nothing. He never saw him again. He didn't come back. Okay, that's what I can remember at the moment. You want to hear the stories of Jagannath? How many people have been to Mayapur? You probably know these stories. So we have in 5 miles from our temple there is a Jagannath temple which was given to us. It's 500 years old, this temple, and those deities are also very active. At least they were. The history is at the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the Navadip buses and all the devotees from Bengal, they used to go to Puri. Because Mahaprabhu resided at Puri at his mother's request, so she could get frequent news from him. And they would go there in the rainy season. Before the rainy season, then they would stay for the rainy season more or less, see Rath Yatra, see Mahaprabhu, then come back. So one devotee, he became blind, so obviously they couldn't take him, because that time they went by foot. I guess it took 10 days, 10, 12 days. Now it's an overnight train ride from Calcutta. You get in the train, go to sleep, you wake up in Puri. Quite convenient. So they told him, obviously, we can't take you, we're sorry, we obviously can't take you. So he was, when they all left, he was so broken-hearted, I'm never going to see Jagannath, I'm never going to see Mahaprabhu again. What is the use of this, maintaining this life? Tomorrow when I take bath in Ganga, I will not come back. He made that resolve. Lord Jagannath came in his dream that night. Don't think like this. My dear devotee, don't think like this. Actually, where you're staying, this place, this very place, is not different from Jagannath Puri. I eternally reside here. Sometimes I manifest, sometimes I'm manifested. Now I'm unmanifest, but he said, now I desire once again to manifest my pastime here. Tomorrow when you take your bath in the Ganga, I will come and touch you in the form of a log. At that time your sight will be restored. And you should take me to this certain village. In that village, there's one of my bhaktas, he's a carpenter. You find that and tell him to make my deity of Jagannath, my form of Jagannath. In that garden there's a big neem tree. You make my brother sister from that. That happened. The miracle, he got his sight back, he became ecstatic, so he called all the locals in the village and told them, this is Daru Brahman has appeared here with. So they found the carpenter, he had leprosy. So he flatly refused to make the deity. How can I do it? My hands are all contaminated, how can I make a divine form of the Lord? They said, this is the Lord's desire, he's asked for you to do it. No, he wouldn't do it. So they called other carpenters, no one could do it. Every time they tried, the hammer would break, the chisel would break. So they said, you see, Jagannath wants you to do it. You have to do it. So reluctantly, and with great difficulty, great pain also, he began to carve the deity. But another miracle happened while he was carving the deity, so his leprosy was disappearing. By the time he finished Jagannath, then his leprosy had also gone. So, a very miraculous deity even before he appeared. So those are the deities there. They've been there since 500 years. Now after some time, we don't know how long, but it was after that devotee, Jagadish Ganguly, after he left his body, went back to Godhead, Lord Jagannath in a dream to the persons that the family were looking after that. He said, when Jagadish was here, it was nice. He came a lot of bhakti. He said, but now, he said, not so much devotion, and the people are becoming more materialistic and sinful. I won't stay. I'm going to close my pastime here again. So you should all leave this village. He said, there's an epidemic, something. Typhoid or whatever it is, epidemic coming, you should all leave this village. And you tell everyone in the village they should go. So that happened. Everyone left the village except that family. Although Jagannath told them they should go, they didn't go. They said, we'll depend on, and they all died. So then no one owned the temple, and no one lived there. So then the temple began to crumble. It was very, very tight. It was just like a little building with a flat roof there, so about a quarter of this room, I guess. And that began to fall down around them, except the part which is over their heads. So how long that was like that, we don't know, but we know in the 1950s, they started the worship, 1950s, 1960s, they started the worship again. The person that was currently living there next, his name was Pratik Chatterjee. He was in our time. So he told us He told us a lot of stories. He told Sri Bhagwan a lot of stories, and we recorded them, but unfortunately we lost the tape recorder from his time. So, yeah, his daughter, she's still alive, Gauri. She said when she was a little girl, she used to go to the temple. She used to go, it was all jungle, but no one would go there. There was jackals and snakes and all kinds of things. But she said I didn't have any fear because I was so young at that time. I didn't realize. She said I used to crawl on my hands and knees, and I used to see those deities. She said there were lots of wild things there, but they're never on the deities. There were other places. Then I think the reason they started to worship, there was one tantric there. He was a devotee of Jagannath, but also he was a devotee of Kali. And he used to go into trance. He used to get possessed by the deity. They called it Bhar. And he would speak. He would go in and speak, and as if the deity is speaking through him. And he used to. He became a little popular when he would do this, because he could, if you lost stomach, he'd tell you where to find it. Animals were sick, he could tell you how to cure them very easily, the cows and things like that. So he became a little popular, and he would go there every Tuesday. So then they started little mela. Every Tuesday was a little mela. So he was quite a celebrity, something. And some people, we didn't believe him, actually. He showed us one time. I mean, we was there when he went in, but he was in, and his son was there telling who he was speaking. Jagannath speaking, and then he would speak as Balaram. Then he became very angry. This man wanted to take me away. He was talking about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He wanted to take me away. I will immolate myself. I will immolate. Because it was at one time that temple was offered to the Gaudiya Math. They said we won't take. Well, we'll take the deities if we like. We'll take them down to Chaitanya Math, but we're not going to maintain. It was a very, very simple place. Anyway, we didn't really believe. And one time this Pratik also didn't believe him so he did at first. But one time he was talking to Jagannath, and he said, "Your daughter should be married, your younger daughter, Gauri." He said, "Who should she marry?" He said, "Jaimini Ghosh, that's him." Father chased him out. But she told us he was quite a tantric. He said he showed her a form of Krishna one time. But anyway, so one day he's married, but he's wearing saffron. He's got all these marigold garlands on. And he gets in his bar and he goes up to the house of Pratik. And he's raving, ranting and raving. "It's not good enough. I demand you worship me properly." He's talking as Jagannath. "Why are you neglecting my worship? I demand you worship me properly." Because Pratik, they knew the temple was there, although no one was going there, but he would worship the deities in his house. He wasn't a pure Vaishnava. But then he would worship, and then he would turn and offer to Jagannath temple. He didn't go there. It was like 50 yards away. That was a worship. But after this, they took it a little seriously. So then they went and cleaned it all up and repaired it to some degree. And this tantric, he told us some stories, but we took them out of the publication otherwise. We thought it was a little too far out, a little exaggeration. But it was him that actually established the worship again. So a few things from that time, one incident when this youngest daughter was getting married, so some thieves came. Right? When there's a wedding, there's some gold in India. Must be gold. Anyway, they kind of knew there was unsavory characters, but anyway, it was a wedding, a auspicious time, so please come, take some prasadam. But they're keeping their eye on them. After some time, this group goes to one side and they're having a discussion. It turns very heated, and everyone's looking at them, and then they all disperse. So next day, he comes, the leader of this gang. He comes to Pratik says, I'm going to tell you something. So that night we came to your daughter's wedding, we came to rob you. He said, we're just planning how to do it. He said, then I saw this light emanating from Jagannath temple, and it was hovering over you, your party. Very extraordinary. And I thought, so I told the others, we're gonna call this job off. It's not gonna work. They couldn't see it, but I could see it very clearly. But someone said, no, we come here, we're ready, let's do it. And then there was a argument. He said, but then we got so much attention, then we had to disappear. So Jagannath saved them then. Then another time, it was Snanyatra is the biggest festival there. There was some devotees came from Puri, came to see the Mahaprabhu's Janmastan. And while they were there, they asked, is there any Jagannath temple here? Jagannath deities, because Jagannath is the Deva. So they told him that there's one at Rajapur. So he went there to worship them. Lord Jagannath spoke to him and said, here, not like Puri, Jagannath Puri, here we get the chapan bhog. He said, here they're very poor. They don't feed us. We little fruit and batosha. It's sugar sweet. That's it. If you could arrange a feast, we'd be very happy. And Snanyatra is coming very soon. If you make on that day, we'll be very pleased with you. So they did. They made the chapan bhog. So that was, and like that was the standard. Then once a year, he'd only get cooked food once a year. That was his standard. So that was always a big festival because there's no Rath Yatra in of course the devotees are making one now, but that is in Vrindavan. Mayapur is not different from Vrindavan. Rath Yatra means bringing Krishna to Vrindavan. So you wouldn't really have a Rath Yatra in Vrindavan because it's already Vrindavan. But anyway, the devotees want a Rath Yatra, and they made a big Rath Yatra now in Mayapur. But not these deities. When we were given the temple, the service, then there was a condition that these deities should never leave. So they'd have another set to go on the cart. Yeah. So So once on the Snanyatra, thousands of people come. They're all poor. Anyone can pour. And it goes on for a few hours. So one time someone came. He came there. He took prasadam, and he took one cup, a clay cup of prasadam for his friend, who was he's a rickshaw. They were rickshaw drivers, but his friend was a Muslim. He gave him the prasadam. Take this, and he threw it. We don't eat food offered to idols. So the next morning he came. A Muslim man. He came to the temple, gave some incense and to the pujari and said, please offer this to your God, and can I have some of that Kijari prasadam from yesterday? He said, we just made an offering, I'll give you fresh prasad. He said, no, I want that Kijari from yesterday. I said, what's going on? You want yesterday's prasadam, you're a Muslim, what's going on? He said, actually, I had some of that yesterday. He said, but I made a great offense. Almost cost me my life. He said, you see, he told him what happened. He said, but last night in my dream, he said, this white one, he came down, threw me on the ground. He was very angry, he was beating me, he wouldn't stop. And I was begging, please stop. And he wouldn't stop, he was really angry. I thought he was going to leave my body. He was so angry. I said, please, have mercy. He said, mercy? You're asking me for mercy? I'll show you mercy, I'll give you a new body. Take pow. He said, my brother, he's the most merciful. Because rascals like you can't see him, he's appeared in a lowly piece of wood. And he comes in Satyuga and he stays to Kali Yuga simply to give his mercy to foolish people like you. He said, and you especially worship him by honoring his Mahaprasadam. You had that Mahaprasad, you threw it, and you're asking me for mercy? Then he said, this yellow one, she was laughing. She said, very good, kill him. Then he said, but the black one, black one was also laughing. He said, no, he has learned his lesson. Don't kill him. So Balaram was very angry. So anyway, they managed to find some prasadam from the day before, and he took that with great respect. So they have healthy respect of Jagannath. There was another thief up there, and his friends told him, "Don't steal from Jagannath. He's unpredictable." he was stealing. He stole something from Jagannath. Then he was robbing another place. He's robbing a house, and they caught him, and they cut his hand off. Then they called the police. Then the police come take him. Said, "First, before you take me to the police station, you take me to Jagannath temple." He said, "I know why this happened." So they have a good healthy respect for Lord Jagannath. So that sometimes they offer their new grains and things like that. And another time, when we got the temple in, I think maybe 78. It was the first time the Prikram, Gopurnima Prikram, it went that way. It's on the Prikram path. It was the first time they went that side. And then the owner, Pratik, at that time, he was old. He didn't have any sons. He had 7 daughters, and they'd all got married and gone. So he had no one to do the puja. He was old, so he saw so many devotees, young devotees, enthusiastic from all around the world. And he said, "Would you like to take over the seva of Jagannath?" So the devotee said, "Hari Bol, Hari Bol." And then we built a new temple. Because the old temple, I mean, the temple was really run down. I mean, the deities couldn't even stand up by themselves. It was in quite bad shape. We had to do some extensive. They're 500 years old. So where they were standing in like a trough, and it was damp, and so that was in 78. And then we built the temple which exists in there now. You can still see the old temple is still there, the old room. So when we acquired the temple, he gave us the temple and some land. There had no facility there for staying or cooking. So we would cook extra for Radha Madhava. Then the pujari would put that in a tiffin, Rajbhog, and put it on his bicycle and offer it. So he would get that one meal a day. Now he's starting to cook, not once a year. So then after some time, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj went there. And he said, "Look, the temple is not legally ours. There's still a few more signers needed from this land. So don't increase the standard till it's firmly in ISKCON's under ISKCON care. Then we can make the standard good standard." So he didn't know they were making the offering. So the pujari thought, "Okay, then I won't offer the Rajbhog." So next day he didn't offer it. That night in his dream, he goes in the temple and opens the door, and the deities are gone. So he's devastated. He's coming out, "The deities have gone, the deities have gone." He comes rushing out. Then he sees walking across the fields. The deities are walking away. He goes, "Check out, Baladev, Maharani, come back, don't go. And Jagannath turns and said, "No, we're not staying here, you don't feed us." We're going to Mayapur Chandradoya Mandir. Yeah, and another time, Pujari, when the Jayapataka Maharaj heard, he said, "I didn't know that." "No, you immediately, you continue." So another time he bought the bhoga, and he forgot to bring tulsi. Now you could pick tulsi was growing here and there. He could have got some, but the temple was in such a dilapidated condition. It was very difficult. You couldn't probably lock the doors. Everything was falling apart. So he thought, if I go and pick tulsi, then a dog may come or children may come. Who knows? So then he prayed to Jagannath, "Prabhu, I know you say you don't accept any food offering without tulsi, but please understand the circumstances. You please accept it anyway." So then he made the offering, went out, chanted his mantras, and when it time for the arati, then he went to take the plate of the bhoga. In the rice, there was a branch of tulsi like this big, stuck right in the middle of the rice. Jagannath Swami ki. And he has no hands. How does he do it? And one devotee once was coming back for some work in the local city, Krishnanagar, and he told the driver, "Go to Jagannath. Let's get Jagannath's darshan on the way back." So the driver went. It was just 1 o'clock. After 1 o'clock, so they got there. The pujari was just locked the doors, and he was leaving. So he said, "I couldn't ask him to open up again, but I tried. In my any chance of darshan?" He said, "Yeah, you come 4 o'clock." I said, "Oh no." So he said, "I really wanted darshan." He said, there was something that pulled me here, and I'm not usually feel so devotional, but I felt really devotional. I did really want to. So I was really trying to see. He said I was looking through trying to wedge open the doors and trying to peep through the cracks. Couldn't see little glint here and there of the jewel. And I tried the window. The windows were made of wood. I tried windows were locked. 10, 15 minutes I was trying. He said I was laying on the floor trying to look underneath the door. He said, then I gave up. He said, I walked away and I was really disappointed because it's unusual for me to feel so much bhakti. I don't usually feel like that. I was really disappointed. But as he was walking away, he heard this "Arrrr." He looked around and the window was swinging open. He said that window was locked. I already tried to open it. The window swung open. The sun was coming in. He got nice darshan of Jagannath Baladev Shivadev. Haribol. Jagannath Swami ki jai. And a similar one, some students come one evening. They're just going to start the Sandhyati. And there was load shedding. I mean, there was no electricity there. They had one candle. And they couldn't hardly see anything. So they said, "We heard about these deities. They're very mystical, and we come to see, but we can't see much." So they decided to go. So he just started the arati. So they left. Then the pujari called them back. What happened? He offered the arati. He was offering the pancha pradeep, the ghee lamp. When he finished and put it down, then the flames started to grow and grow and grow and grow, and it was a big light. I mean, this from the little ghee wicks, this came like this. Then all the students came back and they got very nice. Jagan gave them very nice darshan. Jagannath Swami ki jai. Before we had the temple, also they were in another village. They were made a temple of Jagannath. They thought, why should we buy a deity? We can take that one in Rajapur. Nobody's worshipping. So they came and kidnapped him. They were carrying him back to their village. And suddenly they all felt the call of nature at the same time. So they put Jagannath down, did what they had to do. Then they tried to pick him up. He couldn't move him. He was heavy. He became very heavy. And so they went back to the village and brought more men. They had 13 men. They couldn't lift him at all. So then they realized they made a mistake, and they went back to the pujari and was straw in their mouth and said, "Oh, we made a big mistake. Deity's out in the field." So then the pujaris went and brought him back. And when we were making the new temple, every day one of the workers, he would take a marble tile, about this, like this. He'd put it up under his chart and making a patio in his house, I guess. Maybe a jute stick house. But then one day he comes back with a bullock cart with all his marble on it. And he comes up to the devotee in charge with, "This is, I made a booby." They bite their tongue. I put the tongue out. Any Bengalis here? Anyway, that's what, Kali? Ma Kali? Big red tongue. And she's got her foot on Lord Shiva, her husband. You seen that? She was really angry. She was in trance. She was really angry. She was dancing. Whole universe was trembling. They said, "You better stop her. You better stop her." Nobody could stop her. Even Lord Shiva tried to stop her, and she couldn't hear. She was really. So then Lord Shiva laid on the floor. And then she kicked him, or she trod on him with her foot. Then immediately she realized, boom. Then she came sober. So that's her when she made a big mistake. They go like that. So she's got a big red tongue, biting her tongue. How do we get onto that? What was the story? Huh? Oh yeah. So they come, and they come to the devotee who's looking after construction. He said, "What's going on?" He said, "Sorry, please forgive us." He said, "Actually, I've been stealing this marble." He said, "But last night Balaram came in my dream. Why are you stealing my brother's property? You take it back. Immediately, I would destroy you and your whole family. Do you hear me? Immediately take it back. Please forgive me." Then one devotee was taking sannyas in Mayapur. So he procured a Govardhan Shila. He wanted to travel with the Govardhan Shila. So he left it in the Jagannath temple till he went out traveling. After a few days, Jagannath in the some or other talks to the head priest, head person there. Ever since this Giri Govardhan has been here, we've been having a hard time. You see, he takes all the prasad. Not prasad. He said he doesn't even wait to be offered. When the pujari is bringing it in, at that time he's taking it, and he's very quick. We can't, and he takes all the sweets first. You have to do something about this. So then we told Javitaka Maharaj again. He said, "You have to make a separate plate for Govardhan." So now he has his own plate and peaceful. We're one of the first families, Bengali families there. They had a little boy. He was very naughty. He went to the temple one day, the old temple, and he saw Subhadra had a nice brooch, so he thought he'd take it for his collection. So he told his mother this. So his mother told us the story. He came into his mother, crying, hysterical. She said, "What happened? What happened?" He said, "I went to the temple. Subhadra Devi had a very nice brooch. I wanted to take it." And then Balaram swung his arm, slapped my face. She says, "You're mad." No, he did. And I asked that devotee years ago, a few years ago, because he's grown up now. I said, "Is that true?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "But I was going to take the brooch, and then I found myself on the back outside the temple." But that's what he told his mum, that Balaram gave him a good swipe. Okay. One pujari there, Jagannath liked him a lot. He loved kirtan, this boy. Very simple. One day he got sick. So he told the guard, Chowkidar there, he said, "Look, I got a fever, and he did the noon puja. There was no other pujari there, he was the only one." He said, next puja is 4 o'clock. He said, "But I won't wake him up at 4 o'clock because I'm too sick. I'll wake him up later on. So don't wake me up because I need some rest." At that time, hardly anyone was going in there when we first moved there. So he takes rest. Jagannath comes in his dream. "Hey, Uti, wake up! What are you doing? You're not too tired to eat. You're not too sick to eat, and you didn't stop your kirtan." He loved kirtan. You're not too sick to do that, but you're too sick to serve us. Come on, get up. So he said, "But I was really wiped out." So then he went back to sleep. Then the guard was boom, 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 boom. He said, "Wake up! It's 4 o'clock." He said, "I told you not to wake me." He said, Come on, you got to. Oh, it's too much. Jagannath comes, the guard comes. So he wakes at the. Jagannath speaks to him. "Actually, we like you doing our puja. The other pujari, came this morning, not very careful. He's a little absent-minded. Sometimes he sticks pins in us." He said, "You see, you lift up my chada." You will see. So he pulled the chada from Jagannath's arm, and there was a spot of blood. Jagannath Swami ki. Another time it was the cold season was coming. Then Jagannath gets his warm clothes and his blanket, quilt. That's Odon Sashti. You know Odon Sashti? You know the story of Pundarik Vidyanidhi? Jagannath slapped him? Chaitanya Tamrita? Huh? You don't know. It's a famous story. Chaitanya Tamrita. At the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Or Madhya. Anyway, briefly they were criticizing the Sarup, who was it? Sarup Damodar and? Huh? No. Who got his face slapped? Anyway, Sarup Damodar. Sarup Damodar, yeah? Or Jagadananda. Anyway, one of the two. So he was criticizing the pandas on that day, on that day, Odon Sashti. It's supposed to be a very auspicious day to do something. There's no consideration of any time of that day you can do anything or should be successful. It's a mark of the in Puri, it's a mark from the summer to the winter. So then he gets starched cloth. So he was saying, why Pundarik Vidyanidhi it was. So he said, why these pandas are often Jagannath starched cloth? Because it's not considered pure. You should wash the cloth first. Starched cloth in Bengal, when they make the cloth, they usually use rice water. After they cook the rice, they cook it with a lot of water and then pour the excess water off. That water is like starch, so sometimes they dip the cloth when they make on the handloom, then it becomes like a starch. But it's supposed to be washed first. It's not considered pure for puja. But they were dressing Jagannath in that. So he's saying, why are they doing that? He said, well, there's tradition. You know, if it was bad, the king would have stopped it by now. He said, but anyway, they should know better. It's an injunction is you can't do that. That's the rule. It's in the scripture. So we have this mild argument. At night, Jagannath comes to Pundarik in his dream, and he's slapping his face. And he says, "You're trying to tell me what is right and wrong here." He said, "If you don't like the rules here, you go back to your own country." He said, "Why are you criticizing my devotees here?" And then when he woke up, all his cheeks were red and swollen. So when Sarup Damodar comes in, what happened? And then he told him. So that's the day. So that marks the. Then you start using stop using the fan and put in. So we just dragged up like that also with the starch cloth. It was that time. It was before that time, but it was cold, right? So he gets the pujari. He's dreaming, and there's a knock on the door on the door where there's sleeping pujari room. And he opens the door, he can't see him, then he looks down, he sees Jagannath laying on small deities, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, laying on their backs and shivering. They said, "You're sleeping very nicely under your quilt. You think we don't feel cold?" so that year we had to offer the blanket earlier. And another time, in a dream, Jagannath told him, when you put us to bed, small deities, puts them in bed. He said, don't put this finger in my eye. He said, be careful. You pick me up like that. He says, "This is your muchi finger, pointing finger. You don't do that." He said, "It's not nice." So he was a little shocked. Then, so later on, he forgot about it. He did the same mistake again. He picked Jagannath up and then he said, Jagannath put out his hand and said, "I told you, don't touch me with this finger." I took off his uttari and he was like that. So he was telling us. So Janam said, "Wait a minute, how can Jagannath say, 'Don't touch me with his finger'? He doesn't have any hands." He does. He said, he does. I saw. So that's why we keep it. So another time he was just in the deity, he put it on the necklaces. put on 3 necklaces, 4 necklaces, and then the last one fell off. So he picked it up and he fixed it again nicely. Again it fell off. He was just surprised. He fixed it very nicely. Again it fell off. Oh, good. He picked it up again. Jagannath said, I don't want any more. Don't you understand? 3 is enough. Quite more recently, one old lady came, and she offered a mirror to Jagannath. You know, the ones you get at the seaside with all the shells stuck on the back. So she said, please give this service of Jagannath. So the pujaris, why are you offering this? You know, she was a Muslim lady. She said, I have 2 grandchildren. One is 5, one is 7, and they're almost blind from birth, clinically. We tried all the doctors. They said they won't get any better. They're almost blind. But I'm praying to everyone and anyone, she said, for them. And recently I came here and I felt something. And I was praying to your Jagannath. And I said, if you make my grandchildren's eyes shine like a mirror, I will buy you a mirror. Made a deal. She said the next day they were like 70% good. So I'm bringing this mirror to exchange. That place, Jagannath Temple, it's in the middle of. It's a little high. I mean, Bengal is very flat. Doesn't seem like a hill, but it's the highest place around. It doesn't ever floods there, and it's surrounded by orchards. That temple, mango trees and jackfruit trees, especially. It's very very nice, and so someone's stealing the jackfruit from the tree. The guard sees them. He's chasing them. They run into the temple, so towards the temple, he runs in the temple in Not Mandir. Pujari is sitting there, he said, where are they? He said, who? He said, those 2 boys. He said, what 2 boys? 2 boys just ran through here. He said, no one came here. He said, what do you mean? I was just chasing them right behind them. One was a little dark, one was a little light. You didn't see them. He said, no one came here. He said, they were stealing my fruit. They were stealing my jackfruit. And I saw them, I chased them, and they jumped down from the tree with the jackfruit. He said, he ripped his cloth on the tree, he said, on the branch, as he jumped down. He said, I tell you, it's really unusual, look at that, it's quite open. He said, hey, that's Jagannath's cloth. So they went to the deer, they found a piece of his chadar was torn, they found the jackfruit on the side of the temple. So he let them keep it. Any more?
I was wondering if you're able to share with us how you met the devotees and how you met Srila Prabhupada. And how you began this journey of serving Lord Nrsimhadev and so on.
Well, I told you I got a Nrsimhadev service. That's another story.
How you met the devotees in the first place?
Met the devotees. First time we saw them, I mean, we see them walking on the street sometimes in the morning and coming back from somewhere. But the first time we actually met them, we're not speaking, was in a nightclub. Flamingo in Water Street. That was one of my favourite clubs. It was called the Flamingo. And it was a basement club with black walls and black ceiling. And it was the all-night session. It means it started at 11 p.m. And the devotees were playing there. New Year's Eve. Yeah. And Padmalochan Prabhu was there also, if you know Padmalochan. He wasn't part of our thing, our crowd, like 4 of us from our crowd came devotees. But of course, devotees didn't look very joyful naturally in a place that's completely tamagun after midnight. And but they taught us the Swami step. So we learned the Swami step, side to side step. Then they asked, would anyone like to ask any questions, which is not the thing to do in a place like that. With the kind of audience what was there, conditional then. But they invited us to the Sunday feast, which we never went to. My brother was a little disappointed because he really wanted to go. Then we actually met Jananimus met the devotees in Jagannath Puri. He went to India in 1970. You read the Journey Home, His Radhanath Maharaj? We were 2 months behind him. So same adventures, same caves, same hotels, same ashrams. There was a route, everyone goes, a route overland to Matala, same caves we were living in. Then up to Kathmandu was the end of the trail. And you went to Benares and Goa. So that was the thing. So we were, my brother met the devotees in Jagannath Puri. He got a thing, there's a festival going on. Sometimes we would split up. It was cool to be on your own without any money in India. That was part of the scene, part of the trip, So you had to go through that. Just so you realize there's someone looking after you, it's a God trip, the self-realization. There were thousands of people on the road. It was a good time, people were searching, they wanted something. So he went to Puri and I was waiting for him in Banaras. I'd already been to Puri. So he got the Hashem Jagannath, Baladev, Subhaja. He didn't know the word, but he got. And he met the devotees there. And they were chanting Hare Krishna, and he asked, why are you chanting Hare Krishna? You're not chanting Vishnu, Brahma, Mahesh. This is a Hindu trinity. You should be. Why Krishna? Then he said, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. No one ever told us who God was. We went to many ashrams and so many, but no one ever said who God was, really. Even though we. So here is a foreign bhakta from New Zealand, Videshi. He said Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but all the Indian sadhus, we didn't get that kind of information. And so he said, have you got any literature? I said, no. They gave me back to Godhead. They said, we distribute back to Godhead, which he kept for about an hour. And then one Indian came up to him and said, are you selling that? He said, yes, 1 rupee. So he sold a book. So they said, you come to our ashram in Kolkata, then you can buy the books. So when he saw Prabhupada, he had a couple of Gitas with him, paperbacks, different authors. And he was like, I could see him sometimes, he was looking at them and saying something different, a little confused. But when he got Prabhupada's Gita, then wow, that was it. It just made so much sense, so simple to understand. And he never came back for 40 years. But he had to see me because I was waiting for him. There's no phones, no fax, no computers. He had to come there. So we had a friend who was studying in BH here, Sita, of course. So he had the address. So he came into the room, and I was out that time. I came in and I saw him there. And at that time he was shaved up and wearing saffron, but I didn't. He had his back to me, and I thought, wow, he's very effulgent. I thought, wow, what's the sadhu doing in our room, Then he turned around and Haribol. So that was the introduction. Then I was. Then he went back to Calcutta. Then I was I was coming back to the UK, but it was like end of the year, October. I thought, why come back for England for the good old winter? I went down to Goa. I spent the winter down there on the beach. And then after that, I came up to see Jananimus. By that time, he had moved down to Mayapur, up to Mayapur. And so then we went to Mayapur, and I stayed about a week there. And I used to argue with the devotees. They thought I'd come to take him back. But I used to have an argument because I was influenced Mayavadi. I had two gurus, other gurus in India. One was a popular one. And the other one, it gave us kind of initiation was, you are there at the end of the day. I am here. That space between us, that is God. Okay. All right. And the other one was a popular one. Guru Maharaji went to his ashram. Meditation techniques. And that guru, he came out. He had a big panel. It was there was a lot of English devotees. Well, he had a big following, and it was the first time they fixed up the Delhi airport that it could take a jumbo jet. So the whole jumbo jet flew in like that from Brit, and they had this weekend program panel. At the end of the panel, so he comes on stage. The finale, he comes on stage with a yellow dhoti, flute, 12-piece makut. Everyone went wild. And I thought, why is he dressing up as Krishna? And he looked at me and I looked at him and I thought, why is he dressing up as Krishna? Everyone was going, oh, Krishna, Krishna. So, anyway, Prabhupada saved me. Then I came out to see Jananimas. It was just after Gaur Purnima, so I just missed Prabhupada. He's just gone. The panel was there. And then they told me to chant Hare Krishna and give me beads and gave me a couple of books. I couldn't understand, it was a bit dull, but I knew that, we have a very close relationship. Sometimes say twins is closer than husband and wife. So I knew he wasn't, he can't fool me. We can't tell each other a story because we just, grew up together, we know each other. So I thought, well, he knows better than me, he's doing it. I have to accept what he says. And he gave me a couple of little books. They were chapters of the Bhagavatam, the Lord in the Heart, and the second, two. They made it into little individual Pure Devotional Service and the Lord in the Heart. There were two separate books. And I put them in my bag under my other books. I thought when I read these, I'm finished. So I read them last. So that was it. Then I came back here and I was, I've been in India for a couple of years almost. So I was changed a lot. And I thought, I can't get back into this way of life too fast. And then it took me a while. And then I used to go to the temple in Soho. And I loved it. I loved the devotees. I loved the prasad. I loved the dancing. But I didn't want to get my so-called freedom attached to that. But eventually, it just, chanting, offering the food, associating with devotees, and it's higher taste. So I gradually lost that. And it came on quite simple. But it took about 18 months. And I had a couple of dreams. I had a nice dream. I was with my brother, and we were in India. We were traveling across this arid land, and Prabhupada was there. He didn't look like Prabhupada. I could understand it was Prabhupada. He was our guide. So we came on this across this river, small rivers like this, wide as this room. So he said, "I'm getting Jananimas on." He wasn't Jananimas then, but he said, "I'm getting your brother on my back, and I'll take him across the river. Then I'll come back and bring you across." So Jananimas gets on his back and he was actually walking across. So I thought, no, I can come myself, don't worry. He said, no, you stay. I will bring you, take your brother. I will come back and take you. I said, come on, you're an old man, I'm a young man. I can easily cross. He said, stay there, I will bring you. I think if I dive in the water, I can come up and practically touch the other side. There's really no problem. Don't bother yourself. I'm coming. Whoop, I dive in. I come up in the middle, start swimming. I'm not moving. I'm really going for it. Really swimming. I wouldn't move. Then I started to get scared. Hey, I'm not going to do it. So then I turned around to come back. I couldn't get back. Then the current was wishing me up the middle. And then I woke up and I realized, you need a guru. Have a guru. You're not going to do it by yourself. So that was a revelation. And so I used to visit the temple a lot, and then I would stay there weekends. You know. Soho Street, very very crowded. They was trying to make me a bhakta, so that I used to get VIP treatment. I was allowed to sleep on the desk or office desk or something like that. Get the Mahaprasad. And but I didn't move. Then they came. Then we got the manor. Then sannyasi took, who was it? Pushta Krishna Swami, I think. He brought us out. He wanted to come out and see our new place. So then they brought us here, and he said, "You want to live here?" I said, "Yeah." And I just kind of moved in. And first thing was making the rath cart, painting the rath cart. Then I was helping with Spiritual Sky. They used to have a Spiritual Sky which folded. Then someone was picking it up again. So I was like his right hand, because I knew London and things. And that was where the bakery is now. It was a stable. And you could have, it was like 1 or 2 people in each room. Because there was only half a dozen devotees. First of all, there was devotees all from London. So there wasn't many devotees at first. They came quick, but in the beginning there was only about a dozen devotees here, so you could have your own room, more or less. Then Srila Prabhupada came. He came in a helicopter, first time. I don't know how Shamshon to pay for it. Any money. He had there was a huge chandelier in the temple, crystal chandelier. It was beautiful. Then one day these guys came in, dum, dum, with their boots on, with a ladder, dum, dum, dum. They went out, took the chandelier and walked out the door. We don't have any money, he's ordering these things, but it may go, Shamshon. And so that time I saw Srila Prabhupada was very mystical. He came in a helicopter, and he was coming on the lawn, and all the devotees were rushing out to meet him. Everyone was ecstatic. Everyone was going a little strange. When I first saw someone, the phone rang, the Mataji bring it out, and she said, yeah, he's coming. Ooh, 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 ooh. And she started, what's going on here? The Prabhupada's coming, Prabhupada's coming. I was like spun around, I didn't. One Mataji was sitting there and she was crying and crying. Just before Prabhupada, she was crying her eyes out. I said, excuse me, Mataji, why are you crying? Prabhupada. I said, I thought we were supposed to be happy when Prabhupada comes, but I didn't know what I was supposed to see, but I thought they were acting very strangely. But then Srila Prabhupada came, and then all my senses were playing tricks with me, because in the helicopter, sometimes he seemed like a little speck, and other times I could see the lines on his hands. Then it means that the distances which perspectives were changing. And Prabhupada was, the pilot said, I can't land. He said, with people there, it's too dangerous, tell them to go away. So Prabhupada was going, that's India, go away. And we're going, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Prabhupada was going, Jai, Jai Prabhupada. Eventually it sunk in that we should clear off. Then I think it was Tribhuvannath Prabhu, very foresighted, because they had long grass and it was all wet, dew, so he pulled a pair of Wellington boots, and Prabhupada stepped in the Wellington boots and came in. Then I had similar experiences in the temple. When Prabhupada was sitting on the Vyasasana, same thing. Sometimes he seemed to be filling the whole Vyasasana up, and sometimes he was, just stuck in the middle of this, in the cushion. I just couldn't. But perspectives of time and size were really playing tricks with me. And then he was anyway, I had some other experiences. But I wasn't getting initiated, and then they called me down, and then I had long hair also, and they said you should get your hair cut. I said, well, how will cutting my hair bring me closer to God? They said, no, you got to get your hair cut. So eventually I went and had a short back and sides. And that day they called me in. I just got back, and I said, wear a hat, because I didn't want to see. And they called me, Mukunda, and Pushta Krishna Swami, and Madhavananda, I think. He was a TP. So they said, they brought me in there, and they said, okay, you got to shave up. I said, look, da-da-da-da. I said, no, it's not enough. Shave up or ship out. So I shaved up. I hated it. I was always scratching my head. I'm not going to shave up ever again. And I didn't shave up anymore. And that's why I always wear this hat, so they wouldn't notice. Till one day, I think I was drowsing to sleep, and then Pushta Krishna, so we wake up, and he pulled my hat off, and my hair fell down. Ah! And then it was the installation here, Janmashtami. Then after that, it may have been Prabhupada was given initiation, maybe a Ras Purnima. Raja Shekhar, he was the temple commander. Wonderful devotee, he's living in Vrindavan now. So he said, Srila Prabhupada's given initiation. Why don't you go and take initiation? I said, well, that's a bit of a commitment. I don't know if I'm ready for initiation. I was doing everything. He said, who do you think you are? Prabhupada, the greatest person on the planet. He's offering you initiation and you're refusing. Who do you think? I go, okay. I'll take initiation. So I went down and took initiation. Prabhupada didn't say anything. I had long hair and all that. So I thank him for that. Otherwise, I may still be sitting on the fence. So that's how we came to Krishna consciousness. Everyone has their own story, right? And then I went to Mayapur shortly afterwards, the Gaur Purnima. And then they didn't want me to leave. They got me in the office again. Why are you going to India? I'm just going. I want to go back to India. What are you going to do there? Just sense gratification. I know I'm going to bring water from the Ganges and I'm going to learn to play Vidanga. It's just sense gratification. It's just sense gratification. They really got me. I said, just the enjoying spirit. Stay here, you got service. Because the devotee didn't want me to leave because I was like his right hand with the spiritual sky. So I said, okay. Just let me go for the festival and I'll come back. No, you won't come back. You won't come back. You can't go. I said, okay, horrible. Anyway, so then I went back to, I went to Mayapur in March. So I've been there ever since. 74. And after 15 years I came back because we didn't need a visa at that time, Commonwealth passport. Then every 5 years I now have to get visa. So thank you for having me every 5 years. Srimad Pankajanghri ki, Jagannath Swami ki jai, Prahlad Nrsimha Bhagwan ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Bhaktivedanta Manor Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare. After Chandan Yatra, Nrsimhadev gets covered in Chandan. Up until the day, 2 days before Nrsimha Chaturdasi. Then we take the Chandan off, he's all dry. So then we have pour oil all over him, lots of oil, lots. So this is some of that. If you come up, you can get some. Okay.
Is the
Relationship between me and?
No. Between Nrsimhadev and Lord Jagannath.
Mm.
And when is, I think it's called Navakshatra, when every 15 or 13 or 19 years where Lord Jagannath changes body. Then Lord Jagannath is dressed, they are dressed like Nrsimhadev. I've seen photos.
Yes, yes.
And I'd like to know a little bit more about the relationship between the two. And
Before Jagannath was installed, there was Sati Yuga. They were worshipping Nrsimhadev in the temple while they're waiting for Lord Jagannath. But he has different. There you'll find different pictures with different dresses on. He dresses as Ram. He dresses as. But it's not always Lord Jagannath. They have Radha Krishna deities. They dress them. But the artist's impression, you'll see them dressed as Nrsimhadev or Ram. Krishna Arjun.
Is it according to our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition? Is that correct, or is it a speculation?
Well, we're very close. We're very close, and Jagannath, he sets the standard for all the festivals. Lots of festivals, they're coming from him. And they worship, of course that system was established by Shankaracharya, what they follow. Ramanuja wanted to change it, but Jagannath kicked him away. I mean, so it's the same person. But he's there in the temple also, and Nrsimhadev has a place in Puri, in the same compound. But that was what I heard. While they were waiting for Jagannath to come, then they worshipped Nrsimhadev there. But nothing from Radha Madhava. Krishna's there with Radha and the 8 gopis. He's not interested in much else. We don't hear many pastimes there. Okay. Thank you for keeping me out of Maya for an hour or so. Sweet dreams. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.